Welcome back, guys, to Switch Movies with myself, Ben Goddard, and of course, the bombshell movie oracle, Ashleigh, the person you really come here to see. I'm just lucky enough to be her co-host, her
Aw.
sidekick, her Robin to the Batman that is Ashleigh. And I'm giving her all these amazing, deserved compliments up front because fuck that movie she picked for me. So it is, unfortunately for all of us single people, it is Valentine's Day this month in the lovely month of February. So we decided to pick some romantic movies, romantic comedies, just some feel-good love stories so we can cry ourselves to sleep at night with a half pint of chocolate ice cream. And I say half pint very, very forgivingly to myself because it's definitely a full one. So, Ashleigh, how have you been? We're finally getting back on track after I messed up in December, and I'm glad to have these monthly conversations with you, even though we talk a lot more than that off this show. But
We
how have you
do.
been? How's everything going?
Good, feeling good. New year, I'm actually doing what everybody says they're gonna do in the new year, which is get fit, lose weight. We all
Woo!
say it, but we don't
I'm
do
not.
it.
I'm not. I'm fat as hell. Woo!
Okay, now come on. Now you're just lying. I've seen you. You're not fat. Don't lie.
I just got
Don't lie to the people
$10
at home.
tacos right before we got on air, so
Oh my,
yeah.
don't. You know what? I don't even like tacos, but I want a taco now. Don't
Uh,
even.
There's a
I'm.
place down the street for me that doesn't open till 3 o'clock, and so I always drive by it at like 1 when we're done with the show in the morning, and I'm like, I'm not coming back here at 3. I'm just not because I have other stuff to do or I'm just lazy. So we had two shows today that got moved to Tuesday, so I drove by at 2:45. So I pulled over, waited that 15 minutes, and got my dollar tacos, baby.
Everything is looking appealing to me right now. I have a trainer who has me on a very strict diet, which is meant to be designed more for my body shape to help me lose weight. And I am working out. I had 2 days off from working out today. I'm going to be back into killing myself. So,
Yeah, I'm so
yay.
proud of you. That's so awesome. And I love, like, especially when you get a trainer, like, that's just someone keeping you accountable and, like, just getting you on a healthy diet. Because people, I feel like, do these crash diets at the new year and just, like, okay, I'm only gonna eat celery and ice cubes. And it's like, no, like, you have to slowly work your way into it and, like, eat what's right for you. Or just eat healthy. Even if you're still eating, like, your body will appreciate the nutrients rather than just, like, starving yourself. Because then you're just going to get sick, and then you're just going to go back to your old habits. Or then the first thing of fries that you see, you're going to dive headfirst into, and I wouldn't blame you because fries are amazing.
Oh, I cannot wait to get to the point in my diet where I'm allowed cheat days. Sorry,
Oh, yeah.
if it's a high carb day, I'm going to fucking McDonald's. I am going there, getting me
Make
some
it
fries.
make it a
Oh,
cheat meal because you make it a cheat day and like you'll waste a month's worth of work. Trust me, I speak from experience.
that is very true. And you were calling me a bombshell, so I take that as a reference to my new hair. I went fully platinum.
I love
So
it. Love it.
thank you. So yeah, trying to get the body with the hair and just feeling a little bit good this summer. I mean, I hate life and I would just kill for a piece of fruit right now, just something with sugar in it, but the day will come. But,
I'm
my
gonna get you
life.
like a little eyedropper and just put it on your tongue, a little liquid sugar for you, and then be like, there you go.
Yeah, that'll be my meth. That'll be my
Exactly.
version of meth, sugar.
Just right
But
in your
my
eyeball.
direct hit to the stream.
Yeah.
But that I'm not as my life is not as glamorous or as interesting as yours. We have a Schmodown champ
Not
sitting
champ,
here
not
right
champ.
here.
One and oh, undefeated. I'll take my undefeated time while it's a very
Hey,
short lived.
anytime you win something, you're a champ. You were a champ at that match, so
That's right. I
that
appreciate it.
absolutely counts.
But you know what? Like I had good training with playing Are You a Movie Oracle? So you got to take credit. You got to take credit for that because I studied like that was I played in your trivia game because I watched the Schmodown. So I was like, of course I'll play in this. This is right up my alley. And then kept playing, and then finally got to the quote unquote big leagues. And luckily with all my preparation for your show, it helped a lot for the Schmodown. So thank you so much, Ashley.
Oh, you are welcome. I guess it was good training because, in the sense that any other newcomer may have come in And while it's like, yeah, I can answer questions, like, but can you do it in a time constraint?
Yeah.
And you've already had that aspect to get used to, so you're a bit of an advantage to
And that's
other
why,
people.
like, your game is like somewhat similar to it with, the wheel and multiple choice and stuff like that. So I was so surprised when you'd never heard of it, and it was just like happened to be just eerily similar. And so it was honestly the perfect just like training for me, like of the 10-second clock and random wheel slices that I could get. Like it was on, and stealing answers. Like so, it was literally perfect training.
I am happy to have helped. That's me. That's me. I'm training future Schmodown chicks.
Well, I know you. I haven't watched it yet. I need to catch up on movie Oracle matches because I love them so much. I haven't watched Jared's match yet. I know he's a big fan of the Schmodown. Like he came to one of the live events, and like that's where I met one of my online friends in real life, and that was awesome. Him and his friends are like the nicest dudes ever, and they played in like a little fan match that I was hosting during the expo, and so I need to catch up on his match for sure because he's such a good dude and he makes such great content.
Oh, I know. You have made comments in the past about me as the hostess of such game show
Oh
and
no, what did you
how
do?
uh I'm putting them through the ringer this redemption series.
I
They
love it.
I mean, in the moment, they're all like sweating, they're under stress, everybody's in a panic. But by the end of it, they're all saying that they had a really good time, that it's different to what they were used to, so they're enjoying the new layout. This is just a redemption layout. I mean, we have special guest appearances. We had a special guest appearance in the first episode. Nobody was expecting it. The guests didn't even know about it, so they were just like, what the fuck is happening right now? They had fun. And round 3 is now a lightning round, so people are just,
Oh, okay. I really got to catch up.
yeah, try to answer 10 questions in 60 seconds, and people are, the pressure is on. So, hey,
I like it.
if you ever really want to test yourself for your next throwdown, just, come back onto your movie
You
article.
let me know. I'll put my Hall of Fame on the line to play some lightning round, honestly. And
Oh, it's
I'll call
coming.
Anthony out now. I've got a little more confidence, even though Anthony is the all-time leader. I'm calling Anthony out for a Hall of Fame match. I'm calling him out right now, and if he hears this, you name the time and the place, and I will be there. And we'll enter the next level of Hall of Fame. Whoever wins this match, I'll buy a cheap toy WWE belt, and I will mail it to you if you win, sir.
I love that. I'm gonna have to think of something extra creative, extra difficult for that Hall of Fame thing. I'm looking
Yeah.
forward to it, which is why I specifically said that whoever accumulates the most points in the Redemption series goes straight into the Hall of Fame, because it's hard to get points in this series.
Yeah.
So, but
I'm
no,
excited.
we just recorded an episode the other day with Daniel and Nick, former competitors, and they were sweating bullets. I think
Nice.
I actually saw sweat on Nick's forehead. I was sweating. It was
Yeah,
intense.
I'm pretty sure I recorded a summer match with my AC broken, so I've definitely been sweating in those games before too.
I watched that episode the other day. There you are with a cloth, just
Oh,
constantly trying to dry your hands.
that was tough, man. That was a tough match, and like I was playing also a very good player and answering Queen Latifah questions, so I was about as stressed as I could be.
Well, I mean, speaking of stress,
Oh my God,
uh,
here we go.
so
Let's get into what we came here to do.
as Ben said, romance is the theme to people not very familiar with romance at the moment.
Ugh,
Talking romance movies.
preaching to the choir.
I'm going to say so. I'm going to be a little transparent and honest with you. I regret my choice. Not because you hated it, but because I was laughing about it last night.
Oh
And,
yeah.
I love laughing at your misery. So, as I'm laughing to myself, this villainous maniacal laugh, which was
Hmm.
even more entertaining to me, I started singing the song "Love Is in the Air," because of the theme, which was and then I went, "Oh, you dumb fucking bitch!" I'm like, it would have been the perfect chance to make Ben watch a brilliant Australian film. And because of that song, Love Is in the Air was the theme song to the Australian film Strictly Ballroom.
I've seen it.
Okay, that's okay then. But I was just like,
I've seen it.
Okay, now I don't feel too bad because I was just like,
yeah, and also I've told you about the bar that I used to work at that we used to do these like cabaret type shows, and where they do directors, and we did Baz Luhrmann. So like they mix songs from Strictly Ballroom, Moulin Rouge, Romeo and Juliet, and Great Gatsby, or Gatsby is whatever his title of the film was called. So I've heard Love Is in the Air 1,000 times. I heard it 6 nights a week for 6 months.
I'm an Australian, so we all grew up with that song, whether it be from Strictly Ballroom or not. I think it was like top of the charts for ages, and then it didn't matter what, if we were like watching Dancing with the Stars, and then it's like, yes, we're doing like a love theme with this one. It's like, oh, guess what? He's back and he's on stage singing Love Is in the Air, and I'm like, he's gonna be singing that till the day he dies.
Hey, he's getting paid. Vanilla Ice is still singing Ice Ice Baby at nightclubs, getting $5,000 a night. No, like we had Cisco playing the thong song when I worked at a nightclub. Hey man,
so
you make one banger and you can ride that shit till you can't anymore. Just like Lil Nas in Old Town Road, he is riding that thing into the ground, and he just got a Super Bowl commercial out of it.
So the movie that I have made, I've made Ben suffer through apparently, is
$4 this rental.
I will reimburse you. was 1999 Simply Irresistible, directed by Mark Toloff and written by Judith Roberts, and stars Sarah Michelle Gellar, iconic Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and Sean Patrick Flannery. And look, I'm gonna be straightforward. I don't quite know how to synopsize this film, but I'll give it my best shot because half the time you read something on IMDb, I'm like, that's not actually what the film's about.
Yeah.
So I'll just say, woman, restaurant going out of business, falls in love with store owner opening restaurant. That's the easy.
Is that what he does? Like, because I did not know, like, so he's opening a restaurant, but it's in a shopping mall, and he sells clothes and plates, and...
he owns the department store, I think.
Okay.
So yeah, they're doing something different.
But isn't the guy that's falling in love with Patricia Clarkson, isn't he the boss? Like...
I think, like, I think it's like a franchise store, and, like...
Got it.
He owns like the franchise, like it's a family thing. Yeah, let's let Ben vent. Go on. Tell me what you thought about it.
I'll try and start with the positive because
positives?
I'm totally fine with the really asinine out of nowhere magic in this movie.
Really?
One, like
that's the part you were okay with?
I was, out of everything. I'm like, wow. You know what? There's a real corny Hallmark movie in here somewhere. Because, like, I love Hallmark movies. I love the way they're dressed and, like, the set decoration and everything. And just, like, how really innocent they are. Like, the biggest problem of a Hallmark Christmas movie is, like, oh, you work too much. Oh, you don't like Christmas quite enough. It's like, and then it's, solved in 90 minutes. But this movie is so ugly. And it's edited with a chainsaw. And there's no chemistry between the leads. Like, it's got like a 27 on IMDb, and I'm wondering what what positive reviews said about this movie, because, like, in a vacuum, Patricia Clarkson, great actor. Sean Patrick Flannery, great actor. Sarah Michelle Gellar, good actor. And then I can't think of the guy that Patricia Clarkson is into. He's a good actor as well. So you have 4 leading people, and then the chef, the French chef, like, he's been in a lot of good stuff too. So, like, I recognize a lot of these character actors, and I'm just like, who needed a house payment badly enough to be in this movie? Because Sean Patrick Flannery, I get, because I mean, this was around the time of Boondock Saints, so this was like at the peak of his stardom. So I get, like, him, like, okay, I need to, strike while the iron's hot. Here's a rom-com with Sarah Michelle Gellar, one of the heroes of the 90s. But just, like, there's the opening shot where, she goes to the grocer and she's like, how are the blackberries? And they're like, oh, it's fine. And then the daughter's like, no, get the raspberries. And they never play on that joke ever again. I'm like, what's happening here? And then there's like this panning shot over the raspberries, and it like fades to like potatoes in like the same mark. I was like, wait, what's happening? And then a ghost appears and talks about her dead mother wanting her to move along and fall in love. And then a crab appears and pinches Sean Patrick Flannery, and that's how they meet.
I feel like a certain aspect to this film, like the romantic comedy stuff, harkens back to like that 50s style rom-com type thing, which is meant to be the charm of it, and to a degree kind of is. So I think like you'd have to like look at that guy from like the vein of like It's a Wonderful Life, where he's like meant to be like some guardian angel, but they really sucked at explaining that and giving it a
thing. Like
point.
there's no precursor to the fantastical elements of this movie. They're just there. And the thing is that I'm okay, like, just in a bubble of this being fantastical and stuff, but it's so ugly. The set design is so cheap. When they kiss and start floating, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Like, there's no, like, the first time and Amanda Pete's in this movie, too, and she's a good actor. And when they go to the restaurant, where I guess Sarah Michelle Gellar's not a good cook, and neither is her sous chef, so it's like, why are they sad that the restaurant's going? This movie's just, it's more, I don't want to say it's more confusing than bad, because it's really bad, but it's just like it felt like an episode of a TV show that was in its second season. Like, we're supposed to know everything, and then, like, the first season was like, oh, getting this restaurant going together, and then, there's like a cliffhanger at the end of season 1, like, someone, puts that eviction notice on the door, and this is how season 2 starts. With her going to a market. We apparently are supposed to know the 2 fruit grocers. The ghost guys apparently appeared before. She's supposed to know the chef and everybody at the farmer. It's just like, what is going on? And it keeps going, and like, this movie moves so fast to where they're strangers, then they meet at the mall, then they're kissing, then he's mad because he's floating, and that's the funniest thing, is that's like the big moment, is like, you're crazy, I'm floating? Oh, we can't be together, you can't work at my restaurant. It's like, wow, you're gonna take this that seriously? Like, get out of here.
I mean, you can see that this film, in reality, you got to see that this film put more effort into focusing on cashing in on the notoriety of the stars they picked at the time. Sarah Michelle Gellar, huge because of Buffy the Vampire Slayer at the time being a massive hit. Then, as you said, Sean Patrick Flannery, so he's got Boondock Saints. So you're picking people because they've got that stardom attached to them, and that's going to bring in people. And it's like they focused on that instead of actually fine-tuning their script. Because rewatching it now, I feel like it has a certain kind of charm, and at the end of the day, I'm entertained, and I was laughing a lot. Am I laughing at any of the scenes that are intended to be funny? No, I am not.
Yeah,
I'm laughing at everything
at the
else.
movie, not with it.
Yeah, exactly. Rewatching it, I'm just sitting here going, this is so fucking dumb. Like, what the hell? Like, I know I picked this for you because, like, what the fuck rom-com do I pick? I don't really watch them. It was, like, the only one I could notice on my shelf that I was pretty sure you hadn't seen. And I thought that, I'm like, this will be funny. But I do not think that this is a great or brilliant film. I think it's entertaining for what it is. Don't take it too seriously. But it's so funny that you don't have a problem with the magical stuff, because the magical stuff was kind of an issue for me, because I'm like, can you just explain it? Just tell me why this crab has magical fucking powers.
But like, my favorite scene of La La Land is when they go to the Griffith Observatory. They start dancing and floating through space, and it's like, so I'm okay with it being maybe like a metaphor, or just like something you can't explain, and it's just like when you meet this person. But they really leaned into it being real, because like you didn't really know, like, oh, maybe she just needed the right push in the direction to become a good cook. But no, like, it's literally this magic crab, but they never like it's the worst puppet ever created. And that's the thing, is that they had this idea, and it's just like the laziest movie. They put no imagination into this movie. Like, you're either gonna go with it, and like they're like, oh, get dry ice for this ballroom scene. That's it. And then they keep like cutting back and forth to like people dancing. Then the dance floor is empty. Then it's full of people again, and then suddenly Patricia Clark is making out with a guy in. Like, it literally goes from her ordering all the eclairs or whatever they are to them making out in the elevator. Like, there's no scene of her giving him this dessert to seduce him. And it's just like...
No, that was there.
It was?
Yeah, it's like it's a 5-second clip in the thing where she's got an eclair and she's pretty much force feeding him. She's like, just try it, and then he does.
Yeah,
and then they start
but that was in the elevator, and then they start making out. So it's like there was no, like, that could have been a fun, playful thing of these two people that don't really talk. Like, oh, like I got some, I don't know.
No, it's more like she cornered him in the elevator. That could be a sexual harassment lawsuit going.
Oh, she basically roofied him, like, like. There's no other way to put it. Like, if there's some magical power, it's just like forcing this down someone's like, love me.
That is true. I will say, to this film's testament, that it is probably the only time I've seen a love story flourish because someone got crabs.
Yep.
That would... Yeah. I mean, even like, it's one of those things where one of the reasons I love this back and forth in movies, because I start thinking and realizing things that I don't notice if I'm just talking to myself. And one of them is, it's just such a little thing, but would have been so important for Amanda, which is Sarah Michelle Gellar's character, for her story, is there's a lot of references to her mum. It's obviously her mum who started the restaurant, her mum who was the cook, and yet there's not even little things that you would see done in another rom-com. Like, I don't ever see like a photo of the mum anywhere. Nope. I don't know her name. There's nothing. It's just like, my mum, oh, these were my mum's earrings. I'm like, that's it? We got a pair of freaking earrings, that's it? Nothing that is referenced to her. Like, just, like, maybe show me, like, I mean, it's a cliche, but rom-coms are full of fucking cliches, so that's, like, the one time you can get away with it.
Yeah, I'm fine with cliches.
Like, give me, like, the traditional scrapbook clip going through, like, show me that she had reviews for her restaurant or something that
or just she had her favorite recipes, and, like, that should have been the thing. Like, Sarah Michelle Gellar should have been, like, an okay cook, but she could never make her mom's signature dishes that made the restaurant popular. Like, that's why the restaurant's failing, is because, like, they had, this souffle or this dessert or this entree that Sarah Michelle Gellar's mom was so good at making, but she just can't do it until this fucking magical crab comes along.
But, see, that's the point, and that's one of the things that was such a dumb choice, is in that scene when she finds her mum earrings, she went upstairs to find her mum's cookbook. She came back with a fucking pair of earrings.
Yep.
Like, no, you missed the good part there with the, like, show us a recipe book, something that actually makes some semblance of sense, but no, we settled with fucking earrings, and we didn't even see her find the earrings, she just came back wearing them. And then, magically, she knows how to make food. So, I think a lot of those, it's funny that Sarah Michelle Gellar and Sean Patrick Flannery, that their performances were praised as, like, being the only positive of the movie.
Oh.
When, in all honesty, I don't like their performances at all. I find it...
I've seen white blood cells and viruses have more chemistry than these fucking two people. Like, what it... Like, you're absolutely right. This was just pure stunt casting, and I felt like they never did a table read together. They never met each other till the first day of filming, and it was just like literally when she crawls under the table and the crab pinches his leg, I guarantee you that's the first time they ever interacted on set.
One thing I did not like about Amanda's character, because it did not make any sense, is that when she's not around him, she is shy, she's insecure, she's always questioning herself. As soon as she's near him, she's a massive fucking flirt. Like, she's got the seduction on, everything she does has a sensual flourish to it, and I'm like, I thought you were shy and insecure, what the fuck? I mean,
Yeah, it's like,
if you're a shy and insecure person, that intensifies around someone you like. It doesn't magically go away, despite the fact we're dealing with magical crabs. He's helping her with her food, not her confidence.
yeah,
So,
and that was the thing. Like, it was literally influencing everything. I didn't know like what the magical. Well, one, like they were crushing crab at the very beginning in that first meal. So I was like, oh, did they? Is that why that is so good? Because they ate the magical crab? But no, like it kept appearing later. So I was like, what? What influence does this thing have?
oh, did
like,
you not see the magical crab really badly crawl out of the bucket and hide?
No.
Well, you would have loved it because there was more crap puppeteering.
Oh, perfect.
Because the legs aren't actually touching the bucket.
Yes. I love bad puppeteering. Honestly, it's one of my favorite things.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I actually like about this film is the food. Honestly, that's the highlight for me. This film makes me so hungry, and watching this while I'm on a diet, I'm like, oh, that was a bad choice. Bad choice. I'm like, I want those caramel eclairs so bad. So freaking bad.
And that's the thing is that not even, like, there's a movie, it's not called Spanglish, Tortilla Soup, or something like that, and, like, that movie makes me hungry. And then the movie Chef with Jon Favreau makes me hungry. Like, this movie just, it made me nauseous, rather than, like, it made me, like, the opposite of hungry. Just cause it was the same problem with The Ninth Gate, is that maybe there's a good story in there somewhere, but I'm so distracted. And I'm not trying to be like a film snob or anything, but I'm so distracted by how ugly this movie was. Like, it felt like they made this movie in 2 weeks. Legitimately 2 weeks, because, like, the sets
they probably
looked like,
did, given the Buffy schedule.
Yeah, like, it honestly just, it was bad. It was bad.
It's all cute that it's like, oh, they found love. I'm like, okay, these two do not match at all.
No.
It's a massive mismatch. Why do these people even like there does not seem to be any genuine reason why these two people should be together. They don't have anything in common, and it's just simply, it's really feels like just physical attraction. That's it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, cool, you guys are gonna hook up later tonight, and he's gonna say he's gonna call you, and that ain't gonna happen. That's basically gonna be the end of your relationship. Yeah, everything that they kind of chose for this movie doesn't make sense. I have a somewhat good time watching it because it's one of those films, you know, where you know it's bad, but you kind of enjoy watching it. I'm not gonna say the term guilty pleasure, you know, I don't do that. But there's something mildly enjoyable about it. I just wish that it made sense, because it doesn't. I would love it to, but it don't.
And that's the thing, is that, like, I'm fine with, like, a corny paint by numbers rom-com. Like I said, I love me some Hallmark Christmas movies, but I'm never ever gonna revisit this one. Like, it just doesn't. There's no, like, there's not even, like, the warm feeling of them getting together or anything, or, like, some cheesy happy ending, or, like, you know, those dog movies, The Dog's Journey or Dog's Purpose or whatever. Like, I've never seen one, but those trailers make me tear up in the theater. I'm just like, God, I need to watch one of these, because these are fucking me up right now. And I'm sure they're not great, but, like, at least they know how to market themselves, and, like, there's production value in this, and they know, like, how to pull heartstrings. There's just nothing in this movie, and I don't know. It was just weird. But let's move on to my pick, which I saw that you were not enjoying either.
Hang on. I have one more thing that I want to say about Simply Irresistible, and then we'll get into yours, is that it's amazing that in all my research of this film, it's not based on or adapted by anything, because I feel like the central point about the food, which is really more predominant in this film than the love story is near identical to the film Like Water for Chocolate. And yet it doesn't say it's inspired by, it doesn't say it's like an American remake or reboot or anything like that. It doesn't. I'm like, but you're kind of almost the same film. Like, one is actually good and one is not. But Like Water for Chocolate is a film about a woman who has this ability where her emotions go into her food. Whatever she cooks, whatever she's feeling when she cooks it, that's what people feel and experience when they eat it. If she's sad and she cries, people cry while later, and they're like, yeah, that fucking happened in Simply Irresistible. So the fact that there's no aspect of this film that gives reference to that. I'm like, really? You just came up with this on you? I'm like, okay. I mean, it's possible that for people to have, the same idea and never correlated, like me and the Schmodown. But
Yeah.
it's just, like, really funny. And if anybody wants to see a film about where you eat someone's feelings, go watch Like Water for Chocolate instead of Simply Irresistible. I will say that. But now, Ben, yes. Let's talk about your pick.
All right, my pick was, and I was kind of the same, I've got my Blu-rays right here, and I was like, what rom-com would she have not seen? And I went with Lars and the Real Girl, starring Ryan Gosling, Emily Mortimer, and Paul Schneider. I always get John Schneider and Paul Schneider confused. It's directed by Craig Gillespie and written by Nancy Oliver, and it's about Ryan Gosling, who's a real recluse and introvert. His sister, Emily Mortimer, and his brother-in-law, Paul Schneider, live next door, and they always invite him to dinner, and
Reverse
he either
that.
What?
Brother, sister-in-law.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Sorry. Hey,
Continue.
They always invite him to dinner, and he either outright declines, or when he comes, he doesn't really say anything, and the conversation is real stilted. And then suddenly, he calls them and is like, "Hey, I'm gonna come over for dinner because I got a girlfriend and I want to show her off to you." Turns out the girlfriend is basically a store mannequin. It's not a blow-up doll, right? It's a store mannequin.
She's a sex doll. She's a sex
doll. Okay. And so they're worried about his mental health, but as the story moves along and they figure out how important this doll is to her. And what do they name?
Bianca.
Bianca. How important Bianca is to Ryan's character. And that she has low blood sugar, and he treats her like a truly a real person. He's not just having sex with this sex doll. She gets involved in the community and becomes a real part of this thing. And I'm curious to see, because I saw that you were not liking it on Twitter, so I'm curious as to see why. Because I don't think this is anywhere the best romantic comedy or anything, but I thought it was a genuinely endearing story about this community coming together over some weird thing, and even so much so that he's not spending enough time with his own fake girlfriend because she's off doing community service of all things. I love this movie.
Oh, Ben. Oh, how do I put this delicately? I absolutely loved it.
You did?
I did.
Yes!
I posted that tweet hoping you'd see it because I just wanted to fuck with you.
You got me good. I was and that's the thing, I can understand someone not liking a movie about a sex doll becoming the center of a community, but this movie's so sweet. But I want to hear everything, especially because you fucking tricked me, and so I want to hear everything you have to say about it.
I was I admit that the first maybe 15 minutes I wasn't hating it, but I was a little struggling to warm up to it. And then as soon as Bianca is introduced, it wasn't what I expected, and I immediately did see it exactly how you did. I was finding it very endearing, and I'm someone who, as my therapist has described me, is a very empathic person. So when I very much feel what other people feel, and I don't need to eat someone's food to do that. So when I watch movies and somebody's in a very awkward or uncomfortable moment, it makes me feel very awkward and uncomfortable, and then I start getting a bit of anxiety. So that's why I typically be very cautious with what movies that I watch. So yeah. I was, every time he's in that thing, you can see he's in a constant state of anxiety. He constantly looks how I constantly feel. So I'm oh, I feel so bad for this guy. I'm can you just leave him alone? If he wants to be a recluse, let him be a goddamn recluse.
Yeah.
But when Bianca comes along, everything changes. And it really was, I cried a few times because I thought it was so beautiful and touching how this entire community bound together to help him because they like him and they care about him. And it's also why I really love the scene with Ryan Gosling and Emily Mortimer where he's just you don't care about me, and she loses it. Do you see what everybody is doing for you because they care about you? I'm yeah, if someone said that to me, I'd probably smack them silly. So valid argument right there, well done. But it's beautiful that I'm like, oh my god, can all Christians be this nice, please? We would be in such a nicer world if everybody could be that warm and welcoming.
And I love that, like, at the beginning, Paul Schneider, of course, is, like, doubtful of what is going on, and he's like, oh, this... Because, you know, he knows his brother. He's grown up with them. But then, like, they don't make him the typical... Like, any other... Like, a worse movie would make him, you know... Like, the climax of the movie would... Him being, like, destroying Bianca or something like that. Like, he'd kidnap her and, you know... Like, you need to face this. You need to face reality, or some like terrible thing like that. But he eventually comes around because of Emily Mortimer, because she's so supportive. And I like that they kind of subverted that trope of, like, there's really no adversary or antagonist in this movie. And so it really meant a lot to me, just like how they rallied around Ryan Gosling, and how it wasn't really even about, you know, like, oh, like we need to walk around eggshells because of Ryan Gosling. And it's like, no, like, they really started to love Bianca because of, like, what she was bringing out of Ryan Gosling, because they finally saw what he could be if he just got outside his self sometimes. And, like, you know, there's no shame in being, you know, an introvert or anything like that. But I think, like, he became an introvert once his parents passed away, and, like, he wasn't always like this. So that's why, like, they kept trying to invite him. They kept reaching out to him, because, like, they're like, we know that you want to be here. We just know that you just don't have it in you right now. And just seeing what Bianca brought out of Ryan Gosling, and seeing that gradual change from him, it's a great conversation about mental health, as nutty
definitely.
as a movie about a guy falling in love with a sex doll can be. And they handle, like, this could have easily been like a Judd Apatow comedy, and, like, you know, you just twist the knife a little bit, and it's easy, a raunchy R-rated comedy. But they did it with such care, and it's such a sweet movie.
It's funny. It definitely is it's a beautiful and poignant piece about mental health, as you say. It's without, like, someone, you can look at it at face value and go, oh yeah, he's crazy, he needs a doll, but it's not like he's even having sex with it. It's a genuine companion. That's all that it is. You know, it's no different really to someone, like, getting a service dog for anxiety. It's just, that's something he needs. You can see he has genuine anxiety issues, and he's not comfortable with people touching him. It causes him physical pain to be touched. You can see that as he's talking with therapy, that it's obvious to see that his sister-in-law getting pregnant has triggered a lot of his anxiety, because it's reminding him that his mother died giving birth to him. So that's a stressor for him. So I guess in his way, he's, like, thinking she's gonna die too. And obviously he cares about her because she cares about him a great deal. And the brother is, you know, first he's like, well, he's crazy, he's this, like, come on, dude. And then you kind of see that the more he's seeing his brother be like this, he gets to face his own guilt, where he's like, I left him. I didn't want to deal with Dad and all this stuff. I left and I didn't look back. And he said, I never cared about what was going to happen to him. And he's like, I feel responsible for this. And so he does get into full swing, because he's like, this is finally my time to be able to do something to help him. And I love how the whole community is, like, even when he goes to that party, and first everybody is like, I'm so glad you sent out that memo. Because they're all like, what in the fuck? And then shortly afterwards, you know, when they're, like, talking about her hair, and he's like, no, I like her hair however she likes it, because she's beautiful to me. And they're all like, man, I wish my husband was like that. Like,
it's
you know, they're appreciating how a nicer person is. They're not going, oh my god, he's creepy and this is weird. They're just like, oh my god, he is more sweet to a fucking doll than our husbands are to us. And then you see the husband or fiance, like, at first he was like, oh, there's a fucking sex doll in my house. Next thing you know, he's dancing with her in the wheelchair. Like, everybody is getting into it, and I think it's really beautiful. And I love the older church lady who just instantly is, like, getting on her roof. She's like, oh, shut the hell up, okay? Like, just be nice. just help this guy, and she's into full swing. And I love that she lectures him when they Bianca and Lars get into their first fight, and Emily Mortimer's character, she's like, they never fight. And I'm like, well, of course they never fight. And then the old lady, she's like, I don't like his tone. And so she's like taking her out, and he's like, look, listen here, Missy, you do not speak to her like that. Or like, oh, they are really getting into it. Like, it was beautiful. Like, and then when he, you know, lets her go, or kills her in a way, like, there's a funeral, like, the whole town was grieving for him, because it kind of brought out the good in all of them, and they all kind of appreciated that, and I thought that was beautiful. And I think, oh, this is going to be a weird comparison, because I got two comparisons to mention. One is the reason why I could understand this film so well, this is going to be weird, is because they did a similar subject in an episode of The Nanny. I know we're going way back here, but I think it was in the first season, and the youngest daughter, Gracie, she was in therapy. She's like 5 or 6 years old, and she's seeing a psychiatrist. And she has an imaginary friend called Imogen. And then one day, like, Fran, the nanny, is eating a cookie, and she's like, oh my god, you ate Imogen! She's like, what? She's like, she was sitting on the cookie and you ate her! And so Max, the dad, and Fran, the nanny, they're trying to revive her. They can't see her, and they're playing pretend, and they're going along with it, trying to revive her and bring her back. And Grace goes, it's too late. She's dead. And so she's sad, and she's grieving that her imaginary friend is dead, and she's blaming Fran. She's like, you ate Imogen. But when they go to therapy and Fran's feeling so bad, they even like had a funeral for her, very much like in this. They had an actual funeral for her. And when they get to therapy, and she's just like, now why, the therapist going, now why are you mad at Fran? She's like, because she ate Imogen. She's like, but did she really? She's like, yeah, I saw it. She says, but did she? And she goes, no. You mean because Imogen's an imaginary friend? She goes, yes. And she goes, yeah, I guess she didn't. She says, so why do you think you don't need Imogen anymore? She says, I don't need Imogen because I have Fran. So it was her psychological way. She was killing her imaginary friend because mentally she didn't need her anymore. She had someone in real life. And that is everything that happened. That it was like in this film, just amped up and done in a more cinematic and less comedic way. Where it's that. It was, he created a person that he needed in a time that he needed it to help him. And when he didn't need it anymore, he killed the fantasy, because it's the only way in his mind to logically get rid of her. Like, you can't just immediately come snap to reality and go, oh, it's a doll, I don't need you. So it had to be...
like, she got sick, like, it was a real big deal, and, like, he went to the hospital with her, and, like, it was a real thing. And, I don't know, like, this movie could have been so bad and so corny, but they just kept making the right decisions. And I love when movies just manage to do that, and it makes me realize, like, how hard filmmaking and writing is. Just because, like, they kept making the right decisions with Ryan Gosling's character, and like you said, like, you know, the old lady that's like, I don't like the way he's talking to her, and how she's like, and then my favorite thing is when she's too busy for Ryan Gosling. Like, they make real relationship problems out of him and his sex doll, where, like, she's so, you know, she's doing this and she's doing that, and like, and Emily Mortimer doesn't like...
I have to read a goddamn schedule to see my girlfriend.
Yeah, like, and she's not coddling him. She's like, no, she'll be back. She's like, no, like, she's become a part of this community, and you have to share it with everyone. She is her own person. And I love that, because it helped him. Because if they would have coddled him, if they would have just kept, like, them two together, nothing would have changed. Like, he would have been maybe happier, but he wouldn't have been outgoing. She wouldn't have been invited to parties and interact with the rest of the town. And, like, this movie reminds me of, like, the Netflix movie Klaus, where the town just comes together through, like, these serendipitous events, and everyone just, like, I wish that there would have been, like, a little more about the town coming together and them just being nice to each other. But it was, this movie just gives me chills every time I watch it, and I love it to death, and it's so underrated.
It was beautiful. It wasn't at all what I expected, and I definitely got a bit emotional. There's this is funny. Okay, not funny to a lot of people, but it's funny to me. Okay, so this film came out in 2007,
Okay.
And as we know, it has Emily Mortimer and Paul Schneider Paul Schneider plays Lars's brother, and Emily Mortimer plays his wife, so the sister-in-law. So in 2012, Emily Mortimer and Paul Schneider end up in a TV series called The Newsroom, starring Jeff Daniels as Will McAvoy.
And their ex-boyfriend and girlfriend.
They are! So I'm just like, wait a minute, what now? I'm like, oh.
And Patricia Clarkson was in both of our movies.
I'm like, it's like the universes have just, they are. Oh my god, that's just like what we do with Death Becomes Her, and it was freaking Isabella Rossellini. What are the, what are we doing? Actors are popping up in their things. But yeah, I thought that was really funny. Then I'm watching this film where they're a married couple, and then a couple years later they go into a TV series where it was Emily Mortimer is actually the ex-girlfriend of Will McAvoy, played by Jeff Daniels, who's the star of The Newsroom, and she cheated on him with Paul Schneider. And Paul Schneider's all just like, oh, is that the guy you cheated on me? She's like, no, I cheated on him with you. There's a difference here.
Have you watched The Newsroom?
Newsroom is still, to this day, one of the best drama TV series I have ever seen.
I love that show so much. I rewatch it all the time. Instead of, watching new series like I should, I just because Jeff Daniels and Aaron Sorkin are a match made in heaven.
It's brilliantly written. If they ever wanted to bring it back, I mean, in this political climate, it would be one of the perfect shows to actually, bring back. So good. Absolutely love it. And so it was interesting seeing those two back in this, and I'm just like, oh, it's like, did the characters divorce? And this is what the Newsroom is like. She actually went and got a career.
Because I think I saw this after Newsroom started. I feel like I saw this 2012, 2013 area, maybe around then. So I knew, I was like, oh, Emily Mortimer, I knew her from the Newsroom. And it's just like, I think just Aaron Sorkin dialogue makes everybody a better actor. So I'm like, why is she not in more? Because she's so good in that show, and you just don't see her as much as you should. But, I feel like all those actors in that show, if you can talk Sorkin, and I realize, I know, if I step outside myself, not everyone is that smart and quick-witted, but when it comes to Sorkin stuff, I don't really care, because everyone sounds so smart and quick-witted, and I love it. But and it's like, you want to live in that world, and you want to pretend that you'd be one of those people, fact, quip, on, every sentence to each other. But
that's true. It is brilliant. Everybody is intelligent, and it is still, I will go and YouTube clips from that show just to listen to those speeches. I mean, the whole reason I started watching that show is because people, even though it was years later, people were sharing the big monologue from Jeff Daniels in the very first episode where America's not the greatest country. And I listened to that, I'm like, holy shit, dude. I'm like, I gotta go watch this.
And honestly, that's not even the best part of the episode. That's what probably won him the Emmy. But later on, when he interviews Jesse Eisenberg about the oil derrick breaking, it's so good. That is one of the best pilots ever of a TV show, and it's amazing. But back to Lars and the Real Girl before we go too far down the Newsroom, because I can go forever about the Newsroom.
We'll have to do an entire episode about that.
Yes, I'm so down. I'll rewatch all of it for it.
Ditto.
But just thinking about how this was, I don't want to say, I feel like this was ahead of its time, where just openly talking about mental health, just because even in 2007 it was still such a stigma to openly talk about it, or to think of, depression or introvert, or just almost borderline agoraphobia about calling it a mental health issue, or something that can take more than just, oh, come outside, you're so lonely and boring. And it's no, you have to treat these people, you have to take it at their pace, but then you also do have to give them some tough love. And I love that perfect combination of this movie is that, like I said, Paul Schneider's not an asshole where he's like, oh no, he needs to learn. And just that thing would probably be in in a Hallmark movie or a Lifetime movie, more it'd be in a soap opera. But they treat him with just enough respect where they she sends out the memo for the party. No one really brings it up, or everyone's kind of giving sideways glances, but no one's like, oh, what the fuck, super loud or anything. And then, but then when it comes time to push back a little bit, no, she's a real person. You want to treat her as a real person, she's going to be a real person. She's going to be busy with other things. Real people aren't always attached at your hip just because you want them to be. And she's doing community service. She's helping out all around town. She's a part of other people's lives, just like a real girlfriend would be. And I love that. And that helps. And like, you know, you got to give people some tough love. And it's just like a perfect combination. And this movie could have been a dumb farce starring, you know, like Jim Carrey in the 90s, but it's treated so well, and I love it.
They made a lot of smart choices for this film. One of them is that the series of events begins in the harsh winter months, and then by the time Lars has kind of gone through all of this, you know, we're moving into warmer, sunnier times, you know, for that climate. I mean, it's still not like you're going to go down to the beach or anything, but it's the fact that it's just this depiction of this, like, the seasons have changed, and he's changed with it. And then also how there is even a flat out mention where he goes, you know, he protects himself, he wears so many layers so that it doesn't hurt if anybody touches him, because he seems to be unable to avoid anybody trying to touch him. And then as it's moving along, he starts wearing less and less layers, slowly, like he's just kind of shedding his skin, he's becoming a bit more comfortable. And those are those little things where, if that was to be just a full-on comedy shtick thing and they tried to do that, it would have gone unnoticed and it wouldn't have meant anything. But in this, it's subtle, but you do notice it and you do see the significance to the overall story. So it is beautiful. The performances are great. Ryan Gosling, who I'm not one of those people who goes around going, oh my god, Ryan Gosling. I really don't give a shit about him. He's not my cup of tea. But performance-wise, I think he was absolutely brilliant in this film. I look at him and I'm just like, oh, you poor bastard. Like, I know how you're feeling right now. I know.
And especially after, like, Remember the Titans, you know, he's Alan, he's the cute little linebacker, and then, you know, everyone fell in love with him, The Notebook, and he had, you know, the beard and the scruff, and people fell in love with him. And then there might have been one other movie, like, between this and The Notebook, but I'm going to look that up right now, actually. But just, like, for him to make such a transformation from being, like, this heartthrob, like, at the time, like, this was...
Drive?
No, Drive was 2011. Let's see. Okay. So there's The Notebook, and then Stay, and then Fracture. So, like, I mean, he had different roles, but, I mean, neither Stay or Fracture or Half Nelson were, like, big hits. And, I mean, Lars and the Real Girl wasn't either, but just, like, to make that transformation from, like, he could have gone full, like, Matthew McConaughey mid-2000s and made, you know, like, all the How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and, you know, Failure to Launch and all those, you know, really bad rom-coms that, you know, you got to get a paycheck, I'm fine with it. But he really reached for something, and you believe that he was this introvert and shy person. Like, it was not, you know, it wasn't like, oh, look at this hot guy. You know, like, oh, it wasn't, you know, him putting on a pair of glasses and suddenly he's the ugliest person at the school or something like that. Like, oh, they put his hair in a ponytail and, oh, no, now he's definitely not Ryan Gosling. It's like, get out of here. But, like, they really just, like, and I'll, you know, give a shout out to, like, the makeup and the wardrobe for that, just because making, like, I mean, I understand, like, not being a huge fan of him, but he's a good-looking dude, and so it's like making him look like that is a tough thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, I love when I watch a film and you can just see that the person in the costume department has a brain. There are sometimes I watch a film and I'm like, what in the F were you thinking? Like, one of them would definitely be Little, which I watched last year. I'm like, yeah, not so great. And
oh, is that the one with where it's the opposite of Big?
Yes. Basically, yes, that is literally what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm watching, I always call her Brenda because she's always going to be Brenda to me. But her fashion, it's like the costume department went to whatever expensive boutique they could, got the most ridiculous off-the-runway outfit that you know you're going to see on a runway, but is anybody actually going to wear it outside of, like, a red carpet? Yeah. It's like, no, this is not an outfit that... It's like, what the fuck is that? Like, there's, like, this pinstripe shirt with this weird half cape on the back. I'm like, what the fuck is that? Who would wear that and why? And so I don't understand that kind of costume choices. I hated the costume choices in that film. But then you go to something like this, and it's like, yeah, maybe he's wearing 20 skivvies and a turtleneck and some scarves that don't look like anything, but the choices of them perfectly represent and fit the character. So I'm like, yes, good costume design versus bad costume design. So it's, that is why there is an entire category for it at the Oscars, okay?
That's right.
Sometimes it takes creativity, people.
Absolutely. And that's the thing, is that especially in movies like this where it's like, well, they're just wearing regular clothes, why, like, that's not even hard. It's like, no, like, there's a lot more that goes into costuming than just, period pieces often win, the Oscar for costuming, because, like, and granted, they probably should, because those are big old dresses and big set pieces and period clothing that have to get, period accurate. But, like, there's a lot to be said about symbolic clothing, and like you said, he's slowly taking off layers, and they don't really make a huge mention of it. It's not like now you can hug me. It's like, no, like, just, it's slowly throughout the
Baby
movie
steps.
Yeah, and I love that, and I love that they called attention to it. So I gotta ask, out of 5, what are you giving Lars and the Real Girl?
I would give Lars and the Real Girl a 4.5 out of 5.
Yay! Yay! Jazz hands.
I loved it. Like I said, the opening was a little bit off kilter for me, but as soon as Bianca is in that, I thought it's absolutely brilliant. And I don't know if I'd watch it again. Again, it's not because it's a bad film, it's because it is very emotional and it does speak to me very deeply. So it's like, ooh, confronting, sorry. Yeah. Maybe another time. Like,
for it.
It's one of those things where if somebody's like, hey, I haven't seen, I'm like, okay, I'll sit down and I'll watch it with you. But aside from that, no. But yeah, I thought it was great. So I give it a 4.5 out of 5. What do you give it?
I also give it a 4.5 out of 5. I hadn't seen it in a while, and I was really happy to revisit it, because this movie's just, I don't want to call it perfect, because I feel like, every movie that I say I pick is perfect, but it's just done so well. And just, I think that even the first time I saw it, I didn't really think about the mental health aspect of it. But it really hit me hard this time, of the balance of tough love and understanding that these people all come together for this one person. And especially when, like, there's just everything is black and white on the internet, and, like, people choosing sides over fucking Star Wars, let alone politics and real issues. It was nice to see, like, a community come together over something that on paper is super ridiculous, but they realized how important this was for just one person. Like, it was literally just for one person. It wasn't for this greater cause. It wasn't for, world peace or hunger. It was just about one person's mental health and how much it meant to them. And it like, I agree, it really does hit you harder than you think. Then, like, oh, you think it's just gonna be like this bubbly story, but, like, no, there's some really great themes in this, and they toe the line so perfectly of it being funny. Like, you laugh at yourself for, like, oh, I don't like the way he's talking to her, but, like, they don't make it like a slapstick joke where they pause 5 seconds for the studio audience or something like that. Like, it's just a funny line where, like, man, they are really getting into this, and it's awesome.
It is. It really is. I just can't. I just can't believe we actually completely agree, and we go with the same score. It finally happened.
It finally happened.
Who the fuck would have thought it'd happen on a rom-com? What the hell?
Right? Jeez.
That is weird. But didn't get a score for Simply Irresistible. So
0.
Oh,
0.
Wow. Okay.
Like, in a vacuum, all these are good actors, and maybe the story, like, I love to rewrite me some scripts, but the lack of chemistry, the lack of cohesion, speaking of, the little details of a film with costume, it's just like, this movie had no details whatsoever. It felt like they had an empty backlot set that was open for a week and a half, and they're like, let's film a movie. Who's standing around? Oh, Sarah Michelle Gellar? Sean Patrick? Oh, you guys are filming something else right now? Come over on your lunch breaks and we'll make a movie real quick.
See, I'd give it a 3 out of 5, not because I think it's a great film, because despite ratings, we did pretty much agree on everything about that film, but
Yeah.
I do find it dumb entertainment. Like when I'm going to watch a dumb shark movie, kind of the same thing. I do kind of get the charm of it, and I do mildly enjoy it, but I also think it is entirely stupid. The plot, the point, the subject matter is all really fucking dumb, and the performances aren't great, but I kind of enjoy it. So, I mean, I think overall, I think this was a good day.
It was a good day.
And I like that I pulled one over on Ben. Yeah.
You got me so good. I was ready to battle for Lars and the Real Girl over here. I was like, I'm in for another fight, but I'm glad. I'm really. It was the most pleasant of surprises that you enjoyed this movie, because I like watch it when I gave it to you. I was like, I don't know, she might not enjoy it, but like watching, I was like, if she doesn't enjoy like all the themes and messages that are going on in this movie, like I feel like it's and I was right that it was so right up your alley. And I'm very glad that you felt the same way.
I'm happy. You're happy. I'm happy that you're happy, and it was good. It was a good day. A round of applause. I'm just happy that basically we agreed 2 for 2 on this film. We didn't agree on ratings with one, but critique-wise, we agreed. We just had different feelings on said critique.
And that thing is like, even though I didn't like Simply Irresistible, I was about to call it the sweetest thing. Even if we didn't
I
like
love
this,
that movie.
that one is a good one.
Penis song for life.
But like I understand, because like when it comes to corny rom-coms, like I said, if it's a Hallmark Christmas movie, you're gonna get me 10 out of 10 times, regardless of the same title story. So if it's like that with you, I understand it. It was more of like the ugliness of the movie itself rather than like the paint by numbers story.
I guess I like the rom-coms more, or at least that I can rewatch rom-coms more if there's less of an emotional attachment, because the ones that really hit me hard, I'm like, oh god, like Notebook, watched it once, I'm not going near that again, I can't do it. I cried for like 2 days. So,
I fell asleep.
Me Before You cried for a week. I was fucking hysterical. So there's like, the more emotional it is, the more like emotionally I'm like, I'm gonna be over here, bye.
Yeah.
But the dumber it is, I'm like, oh yeah, I can go back in for seconds. You know, it's like the really cheap ice cream at the store. It's like, yeah, I can go back for that. That's cool.
Yeah. Just empty calories.
I want empty calories so bad right now.
No. Alrighty, guys, that is going to be it for this month. Thank you so much for tuning into Switch Movies, and we finally agreed on one. So you guys picked a real good episode. Who knew that in this time of loneliness and despair, while couples are getting together and just being so merry and happy, including my sister, who's officially engaged and I'm one of the groomsmen, which I'm very happy about, but now I'm the last single person in our entire group of family and friends. But I had a great time. Ashley twisted me around and surprised the hell out of me with her Twitter fake out, but I couldn't be happier about it. Ashley, where can they find you besides this YouTube channel or Apple Podcast, which they are listening on?
You can always find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and Tumblr, if anybody still uses it, of the Movie Oracle. Variations on it, but if you type it, you're going to find it. It's not going to be that hard. Ben, where can everybody find you, aside from on the Schmodown?
Finally got all my socials at the Ben Goddard, Instagram, Facebook, movie reviews, Ben Goddard. That's the one I do need to change. It's Ben Goddard Movie Reviews. And then on Twitch, I've been streaming a lot lately and having a lot of fun. Twitch.tv/the Ben Goddard, chatting about movies, playing video games, playing trivia matches. I kind of just go with whatever I'm feeling. I try and stream like 4 or 5 times a week. Just started a Patreon, patreon.com/the Ben Goddard as well. All the links will be in the description below.
Completely forgot to promote mine, but yeah, Patreon.
Yeah, what's your Patreon?
Patreon.com/the_movie_oracle, where I've got a lot of content coming to my Patreon lately. So I've updated it. It's good, so everybody gets more exclusive stuff. But we've had a blast today, and if you want to find out more about us and our antics and what movies we agree and disagree on, then definitely go and listen to past episodes. And make sure that you check out the upcoming episode. We have no idea what it's going to be or what we're going to talk about, but I'm pretty sure it's going to... I'm pretty sure it's going to be fun, and we're still planning a live episode at some point once we get the kinks done, so be sure to check that out, and we will catch you in the next one. Bye!
Later.